until his nephew complained about the lack of good books, so he gave it all away to become an author.
Now, almost 10 years on, he's releasing his 10th book, and his biography says he's rich. So how has his life as a former private eye helped him become a best-selling author? Well, Robert Muchamore joins us now. Good morning to you. Nice to see you.
Good morning.
Thanks for coming.
Hey.
Now, growing up, you wanted to be an architect. There's a photographer is listed there, or a writer. How did you get round to being a private investigator through all of those?
Well, the first one that fell by the wayside was being an architect, because I'm a bit of a duffer at school and I wasn't very academic. And to become an architect, you have to study for 7 years, and there was no way that was ever going to happen. The next one was a photographer. Well, I think I did the classic thing where if you work in an industry, it kind of puts you off. And when I was a teenager, I did my Saturday job as a worked in a camera shop, and that kind of put me off photography a bit, because it just became a work-related thing instead of a fun-related thing. So that left me with being a writer.
Okay.
But what about the PI? Like, you obviously used your photography skills in your life as a PI.
Well, the PI, basically the way I got into that was really unusual, because most people who work as private investigators, certainly in Britain, and I would imagine in Australia as well, would come into the job by being a retired police officer. But I was a very strange one, because like most companies, every so often they want a dog's body to run around and post the letters and answer the telephone and, you know, just do all the kind of boring stuff that no one else wants to do. So I got the job when I was a teenager, just advertised in a newspaper, started off as a kind of dog's body and got promoted a couple of times until I was actually doing the normal research along with all the retired cops and all that sort of thing.
So you start out as a 001 and work your way up to a 007, is that how it works?
That's a good way of describing it, yeah.
Till eventually you get your licence to kill. What was the most exciting thing you had to do in that job?
Well, we never used to do things that were particularly exciting. One of the things that we used to do very often was we used to do a lot of unclaimed fun work, which was basically where someone's left a pile of money or there's some shares in a company, that sort of thing, and we try and find whose money they'd get, who would be entitled to this money. And people are always inherently suspicious. If you go knocking on their door and you say, "Hello, I'm from this company and I'm delighted to tell you that you're going to get money," people are suspicious. And I actually went into this old lady's house once, and she let me into the dining room and said, "Oh, do come in." And I hear the door turn in the key, and she knocks on the door and she says, "I'm calling the police on you now." You know? And I spent about an hour locked in her dining room, and then the police turned up and eventually let me out.
Oh, that's good. Hey, we've got a little detective quiz.
Oh,
are you up for the challenge?
I'll try anything. Yeah.
Okay, alrighty then. As a private eye, what's the protocol when it comes to falling in love with one of your subjects?
Oh, good question, Carly.
What's the protocol for falling in love with one of my subjects? I don't think there is one, to be honest.
That never happened to you?
Never happened to me, no. I always used to hear some of my colleagues bragging about various incidents with people offering themselves to them, but it never happened to me, sadly.
So when that old lady locked you in the lounge room, she might have wanted to keep you as a sex slave. Did you consider that for a moment?
I certainly hope that she didn't. And I did emerge unscathed, I'm relieved to say.
Good. Now, if you had to be either Inspector Gadget or Maxwell Smart, take your pick. Which one?
Inspector Gadget,
Who's the coolest?
Definitely Inspector Gadget.
Got all the gear.
Okay, if you had to create a specialised phone as a private eye, what's the best way to go? Shoe, watch, or some sort of earpiece? Well, for example.
Do you know, to be honest, I think all I want is one that just gets reception, you know?
Yeah, that's a big ask.
Like most of us.
Yeah, that's right. As long as you're in the car and the damn thing works, I don't care where it is, you know.
All right, let's jump ahead now. So now we've given that away and you're a writer, all right? What was it that drove you to that?
Well, the starting point was my nephew Jared, who actually lives up on the Sunshine Coast. I was out here in Australia visiting my big sister about 10 years ago, and I took Jared to a bookshop to buy him a couple of books to read, and there was just nothing there that really would appeal to just a regular kind of 12-year-old, sporty, lively kind of kid. He wasn't into all the fantasy books and that kind of stuff. So I just wanted to write something that would appeal to him.
Okay, so now you're behind the whole cherub sort
That's
of brand.
right, yeah.
Cherub is a...
Well, Cherub is basically, it's a kids spying organisation, but the difference between Cherub and the sort of your Spy Kids or your James Bond is it's very much based on my experience as a private investigator. It's all set in the real world. There aren't any mad, high-tech, over-the-top gadgets. It's all very gritty and very real, and I think kids really respond to that because it gives them the feeling that it could really happen to them. You know, there's nothing far-fetched about it.
All right, terrific. Thank you very much. We love it when the real life stuff can make it to the pages of the book.
That's right.
I'm sure. What age group are we talking about here? 10 to 14?
I reckon kids start reading them when they're about 10.
Yep.
And then they go on right the way up to 16 or 17.
Yeah, I made the interesting point that you've made it not look like a kid's book, though. That's quite, I thought you brought the wrong book in when I saw it.
That's right. I
Yeah,
mean, because you know what it's like. I mean, I always say I'm not competing with Harry Potter and stuff like that. When kids get to this age group, what you're competing with is things like PlayStation games. You're competing with violent movies. You're competing with TV series like 24. Those are the other things that my fans read. So they want the book to look like an adult book.
Yeah.
You know, they're embarrassed if they're reading something that's got a
Kiddie.
pencil drawing or something on the cover and looks like a little kid's book.
Good stuff. Thank you very much. Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Robert.
Good to meet you both too.
Now, if you'd like to read Robert's book, it's called Cherub.
Or if your kids would.
Yeah, or the kids would. Cherub the General, and it's out now.